Check for sound. Check for power.
All systems online.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 36 of the Loper Show. And today on the show, I welcome a very special guest, my boy Tommy Vext, formerly of Bad Wolves. He was in the band Snot. I mean, just a staple in the rock community. And I'm really excited to have him on the show today. But first, we got to acknowledge our sponsor, Shaker's Public House. Now, if you haven't been yet, $1 well drinks, all their drafts, their wines, domestic bottles, all for $1 from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m., the Power Hour, and the most juicy wings anywhere in the Columbus area. It's right there, 480 East Wilson Bridge Road, and the official sponsor of the Loper Show, Shaker's Public House.
Hear that? That's not just any siren. It's the sound of Wing Wednesday at Shaker's Public House. Every Wednesday, when the siren hits, the dollar wings drop. All day, no limits, just flavor. And don't miss Power Hour every single day from 5 to 6 p.m. Drafts, domestic beers, well liquor, and wine, just $1. When the siren sounds, you know where to go. Shaker's Public House, where happy hour hits hard and the wings hit harder.
This is a story that I think everybody's going to love. If you haven't heard anything about this, I mean, this is maybe the greatest story going right now. John Stamos. Yes, that John Stamos from Full House, Uncle Jesse. He's going to actually be at Riot Fest this year in Chicago. Now, this has been an ongoing joke for years now, where they're trying to, Riot Mike, who is the owner of the festival, he's been trying to get John Stamos to play or at least appear in some fashion. Well, this year at the 20th anniversary of Riot Fest, everyone's dreams are going to come true. The Beach Boys will actually play, and of course, sometimes, most of the time, a lot of the time, drummer John Stamos will appear with the Beach Boys live at Riot Fest. Now, I saw the Beach Boys with John Stamos like 2 summers ago in Los Angeles, and I mean, it was an absolutely amazing show. Stamos killed it. He embraces the whole thing, but it's kind of funny for him to appear at Riot Fest this year. He's got a list of demands, and Riot Mike, the promoter of Riot Fest, has to meet these demands. He says that Riot Mike has to get a John Stamos tattoo. A John Stamos lookalike contest must be conducted at Riot Fest. A local Chicago pizza shop must make a Greek-style pizza named after the man himself, John Stamos. And they want, in the green room of John Stamos, they want these items to be stocked. A body pillow in the shape of John Stamos, a nude painting of B. Arthur, of the Golden Girls fame, unlimited hummus. Come on. The Riot Fest personal Twitter must give John Stamos a foot rub. A special John Stamos Riot Fest t-shirt must be designed and approved by John Stamos, and no one is allowed to make eye contact with John Stamos's hair. A lifetime supply of combos for his mini fans. Whenever John Stamos is supposed to say Riot Fest, he's allowed to say Riot Fart. And finally, John Stamos masks must be printed out for all fans that attend Riot Fest. So if you're going, the Beach Boys will be there, and wouldn't it be nice if you could celebrate John Stamos? And that's going to be a fact, man. So Billboard is reporting that Morgan Wallen will not be submitting any of his music for this year's Grammys. Now, this is not the first music artist, let alone the first country artist to do this. I know a few years ago, Casey Musgroves, she did the same thing. Zach Bryan also, I believe last year, chose against submitting his 2024 album, The Great American Bar Scene, to the Grammys. And I think there's a lot of different reasons for this. Morgan Wallen, though, saying that the different songwriters that helped him write for his latest smash record, I'm the Problem, they're not going to be held back from submitting. So if they want to submit on their own as co-writers, they can do that. But his music proper will not be an option for the Grammys. I know he's gotten snubbed a few years. And I mean, the guy is, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I'm the Problem is one of the biggest records still. It came out in May, and it's still one of the biggest records in the entire world. He's on a stadium tour right now where he's selling out everywhere. And it just seems like there's artists that they feel like the Grammys is kind of a sham, that the way they do things, especially, let's just look in the rock category for starters. When you have bands like Neon Trees, which no hate against them, but when you use the word rock and then it's filled with light alternative bands, you can already see in the rock community, we've known there's a problem for a very long time with the Grammys. The problem, I think, is now it's spreading to other genres where, Drake famously a couple of years ago put his foot down and just absolutely verbally smashed the Grammys. And now we're seeing Morgan Wallen do it. How far does this go? Well, we'll keep following the story and keep you guys updated. So countdown clocks have been all the rage here in 2025, with Slipknot using one most recently to release some of their back catalog. And now Megadeth had a countdown on their website for the last few days. And it's finally been revealed exactly what Dave Mustaine was trying to get around to, get us all excited about. And it's a pretty big deal. They're going to release their final album along with going on a support tour that will be the last Megadeth tour that will exist. Now, we've heard this from so many bands, most famously Motley Crue, where, they literally signed a contract to say they weren't going to come back. But if I was going to believe anyone, I got to say that I'm going to believe Dave Mustaine. I kind of feel like this is the real deal. He says, over the last 4 decades, I've been chained in silence. I'm going to read between the lines a little bit. That kind of tells me that maybe down the road there might be like a live record, maybe a live record of the final tour. I don't know. But I am a firm believer in everybody has to call it quits. Now, in music in general, not just rock and roll, but, in every genre of music, I think artists are guilty of calling this the last tour, and then, either you just get a little bit hooked on the money and the money's too good to not go out, and you end up going out anyway. Some people just, Ozzy said it best, right? Back in the early 90s, retirement sucks. And he went back out, and that was even before the inception of Ozfest. So could this be the end? Well, we'll find out. And Megadeth, the end is near. The final tour, the final record. More to come on this. So with lots of controversy, Kiss is going to receive the Kennedy Center Honors, which in music is a major, major honor. Every band, even more than the Grammys, even more than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. People want this Kennedy Center honor. And believe it or not, this blows my mind, but Kiss is going to get it. And of course, it comes with controversy with President Donald Trump giving out the awards this year and actually naming himself host of said event. But you got to remember, Gene Simmons was also on The Apprentice. So it's kind of interesting, some of the bands that he chose. But if you're getting excited that Kiss is going to play, don't get too excited. At the Kennedy Center Awards, these honors are for the bands to kind of sit in a balcony and look down on another band paying tribute to them. It's sort of Kiss the Ring kind of thing. And along with Kiss, George Strait, Sylvester Stallone, Michael Crawford, and Gloria Gaynor, I Will Survive, is all going to be honored at this year's Kennedy Center Honors. I've never seen so much controversy surrounding this. There's been so many artists over the years that have received this, and, it's just is what it is. The cool thing, all the original members are going to be there. Gene Simmons, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss, and Ace Frehley will all be in attendance. Man, if we could just get one song from the original band, especially since they didn't play with the original lineup when they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was kind of crazy. People were shocked when Kiss was getting inducted. I'm not sure quite what all the shock was about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but if Kiss fans were excited about that, get excited about the Kennedy Honor Awards. 30 gold albums, over 100 million records sold worldwide. Kiss is one of the biggest businesses when it comes to music, period. Not just genre, but period. Kiss, Gene Simmons has famously said, everything is Kiss with a twist. From Monopoly games to coffins to Kiss garden hoses. They've sold it all, from dolls to cars. Kiss has literally licensed their name for everything. But one of the most prestigious and maybe biggest honors of their entire career, the Kennedy Center Honors, will be theirs and will be given out by President Donald Trump. So there's some bands that are announcing that they're going out on the road either for the fall or even forecasting into the spring. And I'll tell you, one band that's forecasting into the spring is Foreigner. Yes, and it's not just any tour. This is going to be an actual orchestral tour appearance where an orchestra will appear with Foreigner, which sounds pretty damn cool. March 6th through the 22nd is when that's going to kick off. Memphis May Fire is going to hit the road November 17th through just before Christmas, December 16th. And this is kind of awesome. We've been waiting for this. The band President, who's been masked behind all of this controversy and shrouded in a lot of mystery, will finally hit the road. I mean, of course, they played the Download Festival. That was literally the first concert they played as a band together. I mean, wrap your head around that. That appearance in the area that they performed in was so crowded. People were so interested to see what their first performance was going to be like. And I got to tell you, I just watching it online, I wasn't let down. And I know some people that were there who said it was absolutely a killer. So they're going to go out from December 3rd through the 8th. Not a huge tour, but at least it's something. So we'll look for the band President out on the road very soon. Who else did I want to tell you guys about? Let's see here. Oh, Taking Back Sunday, Ice Nine Kills, October 17th. That's going to happen. And the Brooklyn Emo Night will continue October 18th, 19th, and at the Brooklyn Bowl in Las Vegas as well. So check that out if you can. And will the Aussie news ever stop? Well, not so far. There's still reports coming out that, the money that they made at Back to the Beginning was nowhere near what they first reported, like 200 million, 250. We talked about it on the last episode, but the real numbers have seemed to come in, and it's somewhere between 40 and 45 million. Super respectable. But I mean, like the other numbers, it's not even possible with a one-day festival. No matter who you've booked, it just doesn't seem possible whatsoever. I just can't even really believe this is real. So they're announcing that on Netflix, Jake Paul will have his next boxing match. And for a long time, it was rumored that it could be former heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua. And everyone was like, are you crazy? The Anthony Joshua that just absolutely toasted Francis Ngannou, former UFC champion, PFL heavyweight champion, with one punch put Francis down, which no one thought was possible. Well, that fight has fallen through. And Jake Paul, in true Jake Paul fashion, will now take on Gervonta Davis. And Gervonta Tank Davis is the WBA lightweight champion, guys, at 135 pounds. Now, Jake Paul claims that this contest will be contested at 190 pounds, and it's not going to be a regular sanctioned fight. It's going to be one of these like Floyd Mayweather did with his brother Logan Paul, where it's an exhibition fight. So you don't have to have judges. You really don't even have to have a commission. Say, okay, yeah, you guys can fight each other because it's an exhibition. But just how many times are we going to fall for this? And now that it's on Netflix, it's almost there's no expectation whatsoever. I mean, he was already getting clowned for fighting smaller guys, and now he's going to fight the 135-pound champion? Come on. And Gervonta Davis, I mean, for as amazing as he's been over the course of his career, the guy's always been a really small lightweight. So, I mean, this could be master trolling by Jake Paul, but I mean, this story's everywhere right now. So I don't think it is. I really do believe this is going to happen. It's set for November 15th at the State Farm Arena in downtown Atlanta. I can't believe he's going to fight a lightweight. It's kind of crazy. All right, we're going to take a quick break and acknowledge our sponsor, Shaker's Public House. But when we come back, the man, Tommy Vext, right here on the Loper Show.
Hear that? That's not just any siren. It's the sound of Wing Wednesday at Shaker's Public House. Every Wednesday, when the siren hits, the dollar wings drop. All day, no limits, just flavor. And don't miss Power Hour every single day from 5 to 6 p.m. Drafts, domestic beers, well liquor, and wine, just $1. When the siren sounds, you know where to go. Shaker's Public House, where happy hour hits hard and the wings hit harder.
Straight from the gym, ladies and gentlemen, Tommy Vext. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? How are you?
Dude, so glad to have you on. Last time I saw you was right before the pandemic. We were backstage chilling. We did an interview. We did a meet and greet with a bunch of people from the radio station. And that night, you guys went up and absolutely killed.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And, your life got real interesting right after that, man. Like, I almost couldn't believe what was happening and what I was watching, playing out. Obviously, this is like, a little bit 5 years past when all of this happened, but
Yeah.
kind of take me back, like when you guys first started having some rough waters and Bad Wolves.
I mean, well, to be honest, I'm very grateful that now the water is under the bridge. You know what I mean? And there was a bunch of press, sort of misrepresenting a Q&A that I did. John and I actually had dinner in February and like apologized to each other and hugged it out.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
we had dinner and with Zoltan from Five Finger and just I've been on this thing of the last couple of years of just like making peace as part of my 12-step recovery, right? And part of our 9-step is like making amends and not so much focusing on what other people did, but our part in things. And so it's been a very it's been a very, I guess, spiritually calming path to like put that stuff to rest. I think what I will say, in retrospect, when I look at the situation with Bad Wolves from the perspective I have now, and obviously like I'm starting a new band with Chris, the original guitar player from Bad Wolves, who's been very insightful on like the other side, right? So for me, when the split happened, like I didn't even know anybody was upset with me. So it was kind of like the rug got pulled out from under me. And there's an interesting interview with Billy Corgan on Joe Rogan where he talks about the fallout of Smashing Pumpkins. And, the band members of Bad Wolves, the original lineup we're all from metal bands.
Yeah, sure.
So I come from Snot and Westfield Massacre, Divine Heresy before that. I grew up in the New York hardcore scene. I've known Doc since I'm 19. I met him and his brother Dallas at the Birch Hill nightclub in New Jersey at a 40 Below Summer concert. And we even had a band in our early 20s, but God forbid was doing their thing. And so, and John, I toured with Devil Driver when I was in Snot in 2008. And I know Chris from Bury Your Dead. And Kyle actually tried out for Divine Heresy in 2006, but he was underage and he didn't get the job. And then he wound up going on to play with In This Moment and Joey Jordison's band Scar the Martyr. So we were a metal band, and I had written some rock songs and I had done some stuff on the side, and it wound up ending up on the record, right? And so I also filled in for Five Finger Death Punch in 2017 in the European tour. So sort of between singing for Five Finger, which is, they're a rock band that has metal songs, right?
Sure. Yeah.
They're a massive arena active rock band. And learning all those songs and playing in stadiums and arenas all over Europe, you can't, as an artist, you can't help but absorb the magnitude of that and have that affect your own writing, right? Like I toured with Nickelback, and like whoever you tour with, you hear the same bands every night and you absorb it. If you go out, it sort of happens through osmosis. And in the band, it's like Bad Wolves was originally called Eye of Tongues. That was John's original idea when he started the project.
Oh, I've never heard of that. That's interesting.
Yeah. And it was like the songs were 7 or 8 minutes long. And so I think John, had this idea that the band was going to be this, virtuoso musician, like Animals as Leaders inspired, Periphery inspired, progressive band. And then me coming off the heels of Death Punch, I was like, we have to condense these because I got a record deal. We had been almost done with the album when Five Finger had brought me out to cover for Ivan, and I think that everything changed. Yeah. So I think you had a bunch of metal dudes who were like, they wanted to do this, and then we had to appease the record by delivering a few radio songs, and Better Noise is one of the biggest labels for radio and active rock, right?
Sure, absolutely.
And so you don't miss that opportunity. Zombie was a song that actually nobody in the band recorded on. It was a song that I did with a Swedish producer named Philip Naslin, We were sober coaches together. We had a mutual client, and that's how we became friends. And that's who recorded all the guitars and piano and bass on that song.
God, you just
And
absolutely nailed that song too. I mean, that was
yeah, I mean, he's playing with Bruce Dickinson's now. I'm actually going to go see him play with Bruce on Friday.
yeah, his solo band.
Yeah, and so Philip plays guitar for Bruce. But he's played for everybody. He's played for Pitbull. Like, this guy is like an absolutely amazing like producer and guitar player. And so anyway, so we delivered those songs, and then everybody knows what happened. Zombie blew up. Unfortunately, Dolores passed away. I made the decision to forfeit all of my any money that would come to me as a result of performing on the song. Philip and I donated to her children in a trust fund, and
amazing. Wow.
Then the story went viral, the song went viral, and so all of a sudden we had, and still to this day, that single is the biggest standing single on that label. It's so the thing is, like, it's a different world that we live in to go viral, right? Like, now people go viral on TikTok. But back in 2018, YouTube was the big thing. And that song has over 500 million views. And predominantly, the video depicts me duetting with an actress who's portraying Dolores. And so I am very much even to this day, wherever I go, I get recognized for that music video. Right. Wow. Little kids call me Zombie Man. Like, still, it never goes away. And I love it. Like, I sort of totally embraced this moment. I was like, it's not exactly what we planned, because I grew up on Meshuggah and Dillinger Escape Plan and Pantera. And I listen to bands like
fan. I know you're a Gorilla Biscuits fan.
Yeah, I'm not really I'm actually not a huge Gorilla Biscuits fan. I didn't really get into that. No, like, I was like sick of it all, and Biohazard, Life of Agony, Candiria and E-Town Concrete were some of my favorite hardcore bands in the East Coast scene, Vision of Disorder. And so, those are my roots, but this is what happened. So I went in and did Hear Me Now, which sounded very much different before Zombie came out, and I brought the song to Philip, and I was like, we need to reimagine this. And then Alan suggested that we had Diamante sing on it. So she came down that day. So the music video is actually from the session that she showed up at the studio and sang the song. And she was super pro, came in, nailed it. We were got along great right off the cuff. And that became the music video. And we spent $300, we had no budget. We spent too much money on the Zombie video. So they had some guy come down for $300 with a camera and film Hear Me Now. And then that one went viral.
That's crazy. You know what's so fun? I've been down in Nashville for the last couple of years, and I see her and her boyfriend all the time. They're like the nicest people, man.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I know she had, I don't keep up with, I kind of got out of the scene, but I know that she had moved out of LA, and so a lot of people are going from LA to Nashville.
Yeah, she's dating the drummer from Lit.
Yeah, I think he's also playing for her sometimes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
when he's not doing Lit, but yeah, they're good. They're awesome people, and we wound up taking her out on tour subsequently, and it was fun, man. It was we had this a moment, where this momentum kept happening, and we were the opening band on these big shows, but we had all these number one hits. Then Remember When came out, and that was most of the material aside from Zombie obviously is autobiographical, and so the focus kept being on me. And I'm oblivious to this. All this is happening super fast, and then also I'm sober 16 years, and during the process of this, guys are enjoying their success. They're having beers, sometimes extracurricular activities go on, and I remove myself from that environment. And my sponsor, actually said I was like, what do I do when this starts going on? And he's like, go be of service. So I started doing this thing where every night after Zombie would play, I would go to the merch booth and I would sign things and take pictures with people.
Oh, that's dope.
So like everybody had space to go do their after show rituals and like, and then I wound up moving into the back lounge of the bus. So from my experience was I felt personally a little bit isolated from everyone because I also don't get invited to go to the bar,
Right.
and I wasn't really, because I don't go.
Right.
And I get up early and I go, I'm a absolute dweeb. I go to museums. Like when we're in Europe, I wake up and I go to the gym first thing and I go to the museum, and I'm on a schedule, right? Like I have to, for my recovery, I have to be this regimented person. So, by the time I come back from going to the gym, sightseeing, whatever, everybody's just starting to wake up. So we were all, we wound up. I didn't know this, and Chris explained this to me. Like I think that people thought because I wasn't around that I thought I was better than other people. And I think that sometimes it's hard to be around somebody who's sober when you're actively struggling with alcohol and addiction. And this is just sort of what was explained to me. I never would have thought this. It was like a lot of silent scorn.
You were
And
like, I got
then,
sober. I'm supposed to be easier to be around,
yeah.
It's
Well,
sometimes.
and then also there's instances where so a lot of my part in some of the things that went on is I failed to communicate my discomfort with the lifestyle choices. And, I took people doing drugs on the bus and drinking on the bus as a personal disrespect to my recovery. And eventually, it culminated like, with me and Doc getting into a physical altercation where, Doc was inebriated and wanted to argue about a song, and he lost control of his temper and smashed a coffee pot. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. Obviously my brother tried to kill me.
Yeah.
So I immediately stood up, and he got too close to me, and then I wound up having to restrain him. And so then he quit the band for 2 days because of that, and I called him and apologized and flew him back onto the tour. And there's like a very I think his perception of what happened, I don't think he knows or remembers exactly what happened. And so
And that's what you're talking about the Billy Corgan interview with Joe Rogan.
yeah, and so like what Billy
Corgan.
Corgan, yeah, what Billy Corgan is saying is like these sort of things that between when you're in a rock band, and it's not like being in a metal, right? Like in a metal band, there's just as much like perfect Kill Switch Engage. There's just as much emphasis on Howard and Jesse as there is on Adam D. You know what I mean? Or Joel. In Lamb of God, there's just as much emphasis as there is on Randy as there is Mark. You know what I mean? Or so, or Art, even though he's not really new anymore. But same thing with Slipknot. Like it's not, when you get to bands that are like Linkin Park, and we were not that big, but just melodic rock bands like Hailstorm or Evanescence or Stained, there becomes a greater emphasis on the vocalist.
Sure.
Because rock fans are a little bit more on the listener side rather than being actual musicians. Metal fans, I think there's a higher population of other musicians and artists in the audience of metal. So there's a lot more attention to detail to the intricacy of the musicianship. And so because the band was living in two worlds, and we were kind of rejected by our metal audience because we had, the metal audience doesn't like when a band has commercial success.
Right.
So I started, I have a saying, it says, go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. Right. So I was leaning more in that direction. But again, like, because I was doing free meet and greets, I was meeting thousands of people a night. It blew up my social media. you know, and I dated a couple notable people. I have friends who are A-list celebrities because I'm in recovery. Literally, that's the only reason, is because we know each other from meetings. And then, you know, I'm selling millions of records and people notice, you know, and they're like, dude, I love that song. And I'm like, oh my God, you're, you know, in Avengers. And then, you know, and then
Right.
social media just starts going like this. And you know, people it built jealousy and resentment. And then basically these are the things I didn't know. And coming into COVID era, like I just went on the fringes of like conspiracy theories. I've always been interested in conspiracy theories. But if you read my lyrics for my entire career, as far back as Divine Heresy, there's a lot of like revelation and biblical reference threads, and like just like in Slayer or Meshuggah or any of these other metal bands. And then also there's like the socioeconomic conscience of you know, the hardcore scene, or even, you know, bands like Rise Against or Rage Against the Machine, or
Sure.
you know. And so that stuff all adds to the culture of what I grew up in, and it comes out in the music. And you know, everybody was stuck at home, and I had a phone and millions of followers.
Right.
So I started ranting about my opinions about things, and you know, people were scared. People were scared to death, and like it freaked people out. Um, and so I didn't really understand the size of the platform, and you know, how this was making people upset. Because to me, it didn't make any sense that it would make anybody upset that I had an opinion.
Right.
But had also never been famous before, so I didn't get it. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
you know, I think, you know, I don't know. There's a thing called restraint of pen and tongue in recovery, and I just didn't exercise it. And then people started coming at me, and you know, I have a propensity to be a reactive person, right? I'm an attempted murder survivor. I
Yeah.
grew
Sure.
up, yeah, I grew up boxing. I grew up fighting in the street. Like, so when I feel attacked, like, you know, I don't need to use physicality. You know, I can use sarcasm, and I can use words, and I can use my intellect. And you know, it wound up causing a lot of fucking drama. And the record label and management were, you know, every day we're stressed out. They're like, what is he going to do now? But nobody wants to talk to, you know, nobody's really talking to me about it until it reaches critical mass,
Oh
you know.
my.
And then I didn't, and then politically, you know, I just didn't think. And you know, in retrospect, it's not that big of a deal. I think we all can agree. um you know, I voted for Trump in 2020 as the lesser of two evils, and I thought Joe had a cognitive brain problem. And I think now we can all just accept the fact that like Joe Biden, it was suffering
Yeah.
from some sort of dementia, or something was wrong. His whole entire presidency, it was obvious that like something was seriously wrong with him. And I don't think people voted for him as much as they hated Trump so much that they voted against Trump. And, you know, literally a pickle could have won the 2020 election again. You know what I mean? And then, you know, and then again, like I think Biden's presidency was such a train wreck, from what I can see,
Yeah.
that everybody voted Trump back in. And so now there's like, it's a little bit destigmatized. Like, it's like you have this boss and he's a fucking asshole. So everyone's like, we got to get rid of him. And then they get this anybody else, and that guy turns out to fuck everything up. And you're like, fuck, we have to get the asshole guy back. Like, he
Yeah.
hurts our feelings and he says horrible things, but we need to make money,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's just what happened. And so, you know, I think that my outspokenness gave the guys an opportunity to like push me out, and you know, then have their own vision. I think there was a creative clash, and I think they wanted to be the band that John wanted to be, the band it started out to be.
Yeah.
And maybe they thought that I was in the way of that. And that's what happened. And
Yeah.
it started out as peaceful, and then people broke contract and broke agreements, and then it got nasty, and then it turned into like, you know, defamation and slander and lawsuits and bullshit. Um,
Man, for
You
the people
know,
that are listening to this, I really hope that, they get how raw and how real you're being right now. And I'm not going to go back and break everything that you just said down, but like if people do go back and re-listen to everything you just said, man, there's so many nuggets, so many pieces of information in there on not only how to deal if you're in a band, but I mean, more importantly, just operate as a human being day to day, that you have friends. I mean, people disagree. Now, let me ask you about this. This is nuts, man. This website, dude, and whoever is running this website seriously needs to get a kick in their ass. The Lamb Goat,
yeah, I don't know I don't know the people involved. I don't bother to investigate things of this nature. But they're pretty, they're becoming the CNN. I mean, look, let's be honest. At this point, all the major news outlets are fucking goofy, right?
Yeah.
Fox is saying shit over here that's not really happening because they want to rile up the right. You got MSNBC and CNN on this side saying this shit. I'm 43. I grew up when the news just told the truth.
Yeah,
They were
right.
like, here you go. This is what's happening. You decide.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that anymore, right? And so,
Unfortunately.
I feel like because a majority of these outlets are based in New York,
Mhm.
and I'm majority of the people in these positions and these people who they go to liberal arts school and they're left leaning. And then I think, people like in Metal Sucks and they take it upon themselves to be social justice warriors. But the problem is with social justice warrioring, there's no journalistic integrity. You can't be a warrior for social justice if you can't get the story right. And if
Yeah.
you're constantly reporting on an angle, or if you're not checking your facts, and it's like everybody in journalism was mad at Trump because he was like, it's fake news. But to a degree, where is he wrong?
No, you're right. I mean, this particular website, if people don't know what we're talking about, they claim that you were getting back with Bad Wolves, which is not true. And then, like the week before, they did the same thing to Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse.
They said that Ronnie Radke was having bad ticket sales. Like Falling in Reverse is the biggest it's ever been.
Ever.
And Ronnie is like a champion of, he came after me with cancel culture, went after him after me, but he maneuvered through it. And also too, I think, to be honest, what happened with me and Bad Wolves, it was a failure on everyone's part.
Yeah.
It was a colossal failure. The band was set at a trajectory, that if we would have just kept going, we would have been the next Five Finger. We would have been where Falling in Reverse is now. And it's because of the dynamic, right? There was, because the dudes in the band write metal songs, the metalheads really could sink their teeth into that material. And because I was directly working towards radio rock songs, we had a broader spectrum. And so I always viewed the goal of Bad Wolves as I look at Corey Taylor and I say, what would happen if all of the Stone Sour #1 radio singles were just on Slipknot records?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that was the thing. And it worked for us.
Yeah.
And, we like drugs and alcohol played a large part in the split. I actually didn't know that until this year, and then my social media presence and me not bending the knee to the narratives or, being a conspiracy theorist, but it's, it's like that used to be like the N word, right? Like, oh, conspiracy theorists, and like, oh my God, like, oh, and now we're just like 35-0, so it's everything's the only difference between a conspiracy and a fact is 6 months.
Yeah, no, that's really funny. Hey, let's shift gears real quick, man. I know that you were out on tour with one of my buddies, man, Struggle Jennings. Tell me a little bit about that tour.
Oh, Love Struggle. So in 2021, I went solo. I did a run of headlining shows. I was actually the first national headlining artist to go on tour after COVID. So we actually broke a lot of rules and laws to do this. And then again, on that tour, I did free meet and greets every night to prove that I wasn't afraid. I had gotten COVID like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And, I think that it had been almost a year and a half since the lockdowns, and I'm like, this is going on too long. And so, we played small venues, like mom and pop venues, and those places were struggling. We packed the house, like it was great. It was like a movement almost.
That's cool.
And then we followed up and did another U.S. tour with Struggle Jennings. Great guys, you know what I mean? I just was talking to Scat the other day.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, Reem is doing a project with one of my best friends, Robbie. They're doing
Okay.
like a sort of a sleep token, but more in the Meshuggah vein stuff.
Ooh,
It's like really killer. But I
yeah.
love all those guys, man. It was great, and we just had a blast, dude. Like me and Struggle would hit the gym together, and then
I love
that
it.
January after the tour, he quit drinking,
Yeah.
and so he was just like, you were a great influence on me. And I learned a lot about how to run an independent business as a musician from him. So yeah, he's salt of the earth people. They're just good people. Same thing with Jelly Roll, man. It's like
Yeah, for sure.
I'm so happy for Jelly's success, right? I did a song with both of them and Yellow Wolf in 2020
Yeah,
called
winds of change, right?
Winds of
Yeah,
Change. Yeah. And
yeah,
like at that time, me and Yellow Wolf were the big names
mhm.
on the song.
Right.
And now those guys have all blown past, and Jelly is like, he's like an A-list celebrity now. And I
Sure.
couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Man, this past tour with Yellow Wolf, he came through, and I would see him all the time in Nashville, but like I was up here in Columbus at the time when he played, and man, he's just like on a different level on this tour. I would love to see you guys get back together and do something. Like,
That'd be awesome.
what is the plan like for the next tour? I know that you just got off the road for the last month or so, right?
No. So I've been I haven't been on the road since last year. So
Oh,
yeah, so I toured as a fill-in vocalist for El Nino, and I came off that tour. We went from like end of August to when was it? Till almost October. So
wow.
we did all of Europe, and then we did a bunch of festivals. We did a show in LA, and then some Wimmer festivals.
Mhm.
And then I did some headlining stuff, and then a friend of mine died of a close friend of mine died of brain cancer, and I had just gone on the El Nino tour straight from my dad's funeral, and I sort of just was like, dude, honestly, like I tapped out on the tour. I was like, I don't have it in me to get up here and do this anymore, and I'm ignoring like my grieving process. So I went home, and then I started working with a therapist, and I did grief counseling, and I did some PTSD therapy, and then wound up working on a bunch of stuff. Some of the music I wrote it that's coming out, I collaborated on with Zoltan from Five Finger.
Oh,
And
that's
so
dope.
yeah, I spent like 9 months living at his house in Vegas, and just like reconnecting. And he was always a mentor of mine, and so he unplugged a lot of things, and he's a good friend. He bridged my relationship with Alan back, and I got to apologize and make peace to people who because I was a little bit of a terrorist, like a social media terrorist with these guys. They're like, we just want to make records. You're fucking everything up and pissing everyone off. And I was like, oh, freedom of speech, like.
Someone
So
take Tommy's phone right away. Come on.
yeah, they're like, take his phone. I was like, I was there in Trump, right, with Twitter. I was like, somebody take his phone away. Like, fuck.
I love it.
But it's
So
just, it's funny to laugh at now. Everybody was so serious back then. And I feel like everybody during COVID gets a pass. Everybody went crazy.
it was a
People had
weird
nothing to do.
yeah,
They were stuck inside,
such
you
a weird
know.
yes. And either you went crazy one way or the other. So with the new music that you're talking about, that you came out after, doing therapy and stuff like that, is that going to be released under Vext, or how do you release that?
So basically, so what was the story? How did this all come about? So after I had dinner with John from Bad Wolves, the label wanted me to do a song with the band, and go and do and say, hey, we made peace, like it's okay to support the band, blah blah. I was like, sure, whatever you guys need. And I don't know I haven't been in touch with those guys outside of that, so I don't know what happened. And I guess there was already mounting tensions. And then about a month later, Doc and Kyle quit the band.
Mm.
And then I suggested to John that he get Chris, the original guitar player of Bad Wolves, who we've been in touch for years. We've been friends again for years. And Kevin, the bass player who played in the Tommy Vext band. And so they switched out those guys, and then DL left the band to join Falling in Reverse.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so I think, you know, Chris and John, I can't speak to their relationship. They have their own, everybody has their own stuff. About a month of working together in the studio, Chris was like, I can't do this. And so he walked. So he wound up calling me and was like, dude, he's like, I miss you. I want to do a band with you. Like, he's like, I want to, like, let's do this again. And he's like, I wrote all these songs. And I was like, well, I have 7 or 8 songs. And so we basically took my songs and his songs, and we're just in the process of, you know, putting things together. And yeah, we're just going to make a new band. And so there's open auditions. We're auditioning guitar players, drummers, and bass players. Yeah. So there's been some, you know, it's like, it is an open audition because this is the thing. You never know who you're going to find. And I got my start the same way. I was a random nobody.
Yeah.
And Corey Taylor let me sing with him on stage in New York City at the Roadrunner United, you know, 25th anniversary. So, and then all of a sudden I got in Divine Heresy, and then I moved to LA, and you know, so I believe that people, I know that there's untapped talent.
Yeah.
So I want to give people the opportunity, and there's been like 300 people have already submitted and asked, and then some famous people too. So, but I don't know, like I'm a little unsure about the whole super group thing. I feel like I did that already, and I don't really know if that's a good idea, right? Because sometimes you get people, and if you don't know them well, you know, they might have a big ego, or they know how to play it cool. And then when they get in there, they start unplugging everything and be like, we need to make changes around here. It's like, I don't want to do all that. I've already had all the, you know, and I only want to hire sober people. So the solution for me is like,
you got to protect your sobriety, right?
Yeah, and Chris is sober now, and like, you know, so the perspective completely shifts on like on what you want, and it's not just protecting my sobriety. It's like protecting my mental health. You know, I don't, you know, I work with people in recovery. Like I volunteer and sponsor a lot of guys. I speak at a lot of treatment facilities. I speak at mental institutions. I actually speak about 4 to 8 times a month right now. And so my neighbor's walking the dog.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't realize you were doing public speaking. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. So you know, it's like I'm like very immersed in recovery, so I can't be like, yeah, we're doing this, and then, you know, put a project together with someone who's not living by those principles. You know what I mean? So it's like so I've actually gotten some nasty messages from people who are, you know, and every single time I go to their page and it's just like them at a bar or pouring shots, and I'm like, why would you post this on Instagram? Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, a dude's like getting high, and like, listen, to each his own. However you want to live is how you live, but it's obvious. Like, you looked at this and you're like, I would try for that, and then you're like, oh,
yeah,
fuck that guy. And I'm like, ugh. And so I see what happened in my own band, right? I see the thing. I'm like, oh, this is exactly who not to hire, you know?
Yeah. I mean, second time around, you always know, you know, you're a little bit more knowledgeable and stuff. So there's no date, no time frame. You guys are still in the recording and also hiring a band process. So
yeah, I think an album release will probably be Q1 of next year, or 2, maybe in the spring. And you know, we're demoed, so we're already talking to managers, record labels. I just hired a new attorney today. Yeah, so it's like things are all moving. It's actually happening way faster than I had anticipated, and I was surprised at the caliber of the artists that reached out that I'm taking serious. who are interested in participating in this, because I'm a fan of some of them. So I was like, oh, fucking cool. Like, all right.
Man, I love that, dude. You got me hyped. I mean, I can't wait. Usually I'm not so excited for the wintertime, but now, I mean,
Yeah. I mean, well, I believe we'll probably. I think a single should happen by the end of the year. And then I'm ready to start. I think there'll probably be some shows. And even if we only release one single, there's enough of Chris and I have enough shared catalog, and I'm some of the people that we're looking into. We can do like one or two of their songs, and we might just do a jam,
yeah, that's
and do some stuff in LA, because LA, I feel like California needs some metal again.
for sure, dude. Yeah, I was in Hollywood last summer, and it just, I mean, you go to the Whiskey and you just see like, the Rainbow Room and all of these places that were just legendary for all of that. And it's time for somebody to bring it back like on a permanent basis. If you guys do any secret shows like that or any like warm up shows, bro, please let me know. I'll definitely come out to Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll definitely keep you posted, but it'll be we'll be announcing it, obviously, but I think it's a good way to just get things going. And I just like to play, man. I really like to jam. This is Sonny from Snot. We used to say this. He's like, "Do you want to jam?" I was like, "I like to jam." We would always want to play more songs live. We're like, "Can we play 2 or 3 more songs?" Everyone's like, "Bro, we're tired." I'm like, "All right, fine."
That's
Same thing when I filled in for Five Finger. The longest set list the band has ever played was with me in Tilburg, Netherlands. I think we played for almost an hour and 45 minutes.
That's what I was going to ask you. Is there any professional audio of that anywhere? I've seen a bunch of stuff on YouTube before, but like, is there anywhere that's
no? I don't think so. If there was, I'm sure Alan would have had it mixed, mastered, and put on sale by now. You know what I mean? Those guys are pros. They're never missing out on an opportunity to make some money. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man! All right, well, I'm going to put down all your social media in the description, so that way people know where to find you, man. I appreciate you making time for this today, man. Fresh out of the gym.
Of course.
Dude,
Thanks for chatting with me, and look out for the new band. I don't have a name to tell you. We're still going over all the names, and then we got to trademark them and buy them and all the things. But you could just follow me on socials, and I'm actually going to be getting off social media. So once the name is announced, I'm actually, all my platforms will switch to the band, and then I will only be on my private app. So I have a private Tommy Vext app.
Okay,
yeah, for super fans, it's like $1.99, but that's where everything's gonna be first. And I don't really want to. I look at Sleep Token and Bad Omens, and I just envy,
man,
the peace that they have from nobody having access to them.
And
I don't need to give people access to me. It's like, I grew up and I couldn't tell James Hetfield I didn't like his haircut when Load came out. And you know what I mean? I couldn't criticize a Pantera record or be like, oh, I don't follow the leaders not as heavy as the last 2 records, like whatever, when I was 18 years old. People, we've normalized this thing of allowing anybody to access us. I'm like, it just caused nothing but problems.
I agree with that, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, there's too much access to people. I mean, I totally get it. You're absolutely right. Man, listen, thanks so much for spending some time today. I truly appreciate it. And when the record does drop, man, hopefully you'll come back on and we'll talk all about it.
Yeah, I'll bring Chris with me. We'll jam out. We'll bring a couple of the guys, and hopefully we'll be playing in Nashville, so we'll be able to link up.
Oh, would love it. All right, Tommy, dude, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for watching today, guys. And if you haven't, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us in the algorithm and just helps get us out to more and more people. And I really appreciate you and supporting the show each and every week. Thanks so much.